Hello, this is TelecomTV. We are at the ETSI NFV meeting number 13. We are in Dublin in Ireland, and I'm talking with an old friend, Diego Lopez, Head of Technology Exploration Global CTO Unit at Telefonica. Diego, as usual, good to see you. We've done this a time or two.
Good to see you. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. Now, let's look at NFV and cast our minds back 3 years to when it all started. You remember as well as I do the excitement there was in the industry, the buzz, everybody was very enthused by this, about the announcement of the technology, the proofs of concepts, the field trials and so on. But now, around one or two places, you're hearing people say, and I must say it's usually vendors who are saying this, not so much the service providers, for fairly obvious reasons. They're saying, well, this commercial rollout of virtualized services is taking rather longer than we anticipated, and it's not really everywhere yet. Why not? So, has it been taking longer than you expected? And if so, why? And what the point I'm trying to make is it because service providers like Telefonica, like Deutsche Telekom, whoever it may be, have been rather more cautious in their approach to NFV than was expected?
I would not say that's the case that we have been more cautious probably that we were so excited, as you say, 3 years ago. And I under the impression that deploying technology that brings change of the relevance of this of NFV and the application of software technologies to networks in general is something that comes to a price, and we are learning what the price is in general, in terms of organization, in terms of culture, in terms of the changing the value chain itself. And this is something that is not only for the operators, it's something that is always is for our providers as well. To some extent, this complaints about NFV not taking off commercially as it was expected. Probably it was because to some extent, vendors are not as well providing, what we expected as well. And well, this is something that the matching of the expectations on the one hand and the offer that is feasible in terms of technology and in terms of business models themselves is something that is taking more time than it was originally planned. But coming here, I was talking with one of the colleagues here in the meeting, that it's something like it's something when you are dealing with this kind of technologies, is something that you can completely expect that there will be some delay with respect to the original plans. This is, I would say, that's part of the normal technology evolution.
Absolutely, I quite agree with you. Now, if you think back again to when NFV burst onto the scene, remember the first ETSI documentation, peppered throughout it were references to ecosystems. Very big emphasis on it. They were everywhere, in fact. Now, manufacturers have been collaborating and partnering with the big build-out of big open vendor ecosystems. Have they, since the inception of NFV, Diego, have they changed those ecosystems? Have they matured? Have they evolved? What do they look like now?
I think they are changing. Again, it's not the dramatic change that you could expect that in 3 years' time a few new Ericssons or few new Nokias would be around, but some things have happened that are quite interesting. One is that when we started, we have a plethora of small companies that were around because they have heard about the idea, they saw an opportunity, they were chasing around those opportunities. Some of them have consolidated, a few. Many of them have disappeared because it's part of the natural evolution of entrepreneurs. And what do you say? But mostly important is probably the luckiest of them, or those of them who now feel luckiest, have been acquired by the big guys. Which is something that, if you think about the model that is right now somehow promoted into the startups, the technology startups, is what is highly desirable.
Right.
Anyone that makes a startup in IT in general wants to be bought out by Cisco, Juniper, Google, Facebook, whoever, you name it.
Yeah.
And this is a business model, it's a legitimate business model, and I would say is an indication that of the maturity of the technology, and there is a clear view that for manufacturers there is an advantage in having this in their product portfolio. This is one thing with respect to the ecosystem. The other thing that is curious is that we have seen that companies that traditionally were not looking to the telco business, or were looking to the telco business with a different view. The typical companies that were looking at it as providers of IT systems, etc., and now involved precisely as well, considering what is pure networking.
Absolutely.
What is very interesting, because for us, both translate into having a continuum of market, because that is somehow forcing the telco gear vendors to move in the opposite direction as well. So you have a continuum of solutions, of technology solutions for networks and the system that will manage them, that hopefully will be running on the same or very similar infrastructure. And third, and this is curious as well, is that we are starting to detect the fact that there is additional, I would say, points of friction between telco manufacturers and telco providers. Why? Because there is, when you start talking about things that are based on software, you can start, you as a producer of software can think on providing the services yourselves. And you say, well, this is as, instead of selling my software to this provider, I will provide this as a service. The temptation is there, the market is there, the possibility is there, and this is something that we have detected. It's not that it's happening as a general trend in the market, but from time to time we hear about that, we have hints about that, probably will happen, and then, then probably some NSPs would be forced to start providing software themselves. So this is something that we're moving in from a very, very clear zones. I have my niche. I won't stay. I won't move out from my niche. This is going to happen in which everything is becoming much more fluid and continuous. It's interesting.
It is. Another question to you. We were all, as you know, presented with the notion of NFV as an overarching global technology. NFV is NFV, it is what it is. It works, it's cloud-based, it's all IP, the whole virtualization argument. And then over the past, not very long, past few months, we've heard about the notion of carrier-grade NFV, which makes it sound as though carrier-grade NFV is different to NFV. But of course it can't be, can it? Isn't NFV by definition carrier-grade anyway?
I would say so. To me, carrier-grade NFV is something like you say computer-based software. Something that is, it's implicit. I mean, it's implicit on the term. The point here with carrier-grade NFV, I'm under the impression that the first attempt to deploy NFV, and that, or at least the first reported deployments on NFV, were made in the cloud environment, because it was easy. I mean, I have seen people claiming that they have deployed NFV because they have deployed software-based, I mean, virtualized firewalls or virtualized local.
Virtualized CPE, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you say, well, is that NFV in the sense that it's a network function and it's virtualized? Certainly. Is that NFV in the sense in which the NFV group has been thinking of for quite a while? Not. So carrier-grade NFV is NFV as it should be, basically. So I would not use that. On the other hand, it's probably something that from marketing reasons, you always need to give it a twist.
Absolutely.
A little bit to make it different. And my NFV is much better than my competition's.
It was pointed out to me earlier in an earlier interview. There's a lot of difference between marketing speak and the market itself.
Yeah, definitely. That's part of
it. Now, the business transformation, which is happening hand in hand with technology transformation, and the emergence of the virtualized network shows that many operators, many service providers don't have the skills necessary in-house to manage that transformation quickly and efficiently. Do you agree with that? Do you think we need to look at the likes of Telefonica or the likes of AT&T or anybody you care to mention? Do they need an influx of new blood and new disciplines
Mm.
And if so, where are you going to get them from?
I think that there is some need, at least organizationally speaking. I mean, Telefonica is big enough for being difficult to know, and I don't have been there for long enough to know that many people. But it's quite curious because when you start having contacts with the people running the operations, etc., you notice that some of them, for example, many of them, I have heard very often that this idea of the people dealing with networks not being familiar with software. Just by chance, nothing that it was looking for it, I have found a couple of colleagues that have been running networks, but for running the networks, what they have done is in the Telefonica's jargon, they refer usually to them as Tamagotchis. Tamagotchi is a small piece of software that does what you want to do, and that otherwise you should do by hand and repeatedly. And there are brilliant people that invented Tamagotchis to get rid of of the routine.
Yep.
So I would say that it's true that we need to find new talent, but there is an important amount of talent that is let's say, sort of dark matter inside the operators. And, and that would be the people that would be a real pity to lose, because they are the perfect combination of people that are used to think in terms of software, but they know what a network is.
Right.
In general, roughly speaking, probably we're talking about that we should be restructured. I'm not talking about what normally means restructuring, that is firing people. I'm talking about changing the structure.
Yeah.
The structure should be changed, and the people in charge of leading that transformation should be smart to identify those pieces of dark matter around, and yes, sure, bring people from the outside, bring people, and there are the young people I know, the people that are now at the universities, in the computer science schools, in the telecommunication schools. Again, they are familiar with both sides of the problem. Probably not at the scale of a telco, but they know about networking, they know about programming, and it's about using this dark matter people as the kernel for this kind of evolution. I think this would be the ideal, and what it would be a real shame would be to lose these people that we already have in the organizations. Probably 10% of the organization, but this would be enough, more than enough, to start the transformation.
Final question to you, which brings us back round to the start in a nice circle. When it's been said by many people, I've read it several times, that network transformation and virtualization is like building a plane when you're actually flying in it. Back in 2013, this company, TelecomTV, did a survey with vendors and with service providers, and the answer that came back was that we thought it would be 2 or 3 years before we would see virtualization in carrier networks. We're in mid-late February 2016 now. Does that timetable still hold, do you think, Diego, or would you change your estimate?
I don't think that it will be very late till we see a real virtualization. Not fully complete, because we have to build the plane on the air, and it's complicated.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, we're moving in that direction. We are recently, it's something that we keep talking about, our pilot in Brazil, but our pilot in Brazil now, we are managing or dealing with thousands of users right now.
Yep.
No hundreds of thousands, not millions yet, but this is something that is a number that starts to be significant in the sense that you are providing, you have a wide variety of different users around. I was extremely pleased. A couple of months ago, I was in a meeting with our business units dealing with services to companies, and they, in the list of the pilots and what they wanted to include in their portfolios, basically everything were, if not 100% NFV, were virtualized services relying on SDN, which is something that if you are generous with how the limits are inside the what you could call NFV at large. So things are moving in the same direction they were moving some time ago. Probably if you tell me, no, well, 3 years ago you tell that right now you will have the 70% of whatever. Well, true.
Yeah.
We have not achieved it because, as usual, things are a little bit more complicated than you expect.
That's life.
That's by definition, exactly. So it's, but I'm still optimistic, and I see very good reasons for being optimistic.
Diego Lopez, as usual, entertaining and informative. Thank you very much.
More than welcome. It's a pleasure, as I said at the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you.